you're struggling to keep your podcast guests engaged. How can you make sure that their enthusiasm and their energy maintained during the interview? Now, stay with me on this one. I'm going to give you some solid tips. A lot of the time when some of these podcasters or B2B podcasters be having guests on, they don't have something I call checklist for the guests, right? So you can't be someone with like good energy looking for a conversation, having someone with like low energy that are not the type of person that would engage into conversations, right? So what we want to do is like we want to make sure that we highlight these boundaries up front. Like you want to make sure that before recording the session, you either meet them. If you can meet them, that would be amazing, because you get to have like a sense of how they feel, and you get to explain to them like my podcast is more about like conversation, so I don't want to talk a lot, and at the same time I don't want you to kind of like feel, neglected, or any sort of shape or form, right? So you want to make sure that they understand like it's a conversation. Like maybe I'm asking questions, you're answering, maybe you're going to ask questions, I'm going to answer, right? So these are one of the things that you need to highlight if you can meet them. If you can, then maybe an email or a Zoom chat will be like also effective for them to understand more about like, okay, so this is the podcast, this is what we're looking at, and this is how we're in general looking at the outcome of this podcast, right? So they can have like an idea, and they can upfront tell you like, hey, I'm not the type that would just really, I just feel like it's too much for me, blah, blah, blah. So they will come up with a reason why they can't do it. And it's really helpful for you, because you cannot have someone that is not engaging into conversation. How can you, hook those listeners into what you're saying, right? So mainly, I feel like emails been like really, really effective in terms of like sending them a checklist. They understand exactly what you're about. Jumping on a chat with them just so you can give them a sense of like how to direct the conversation, how it's going to be, or even meet them in person, have like a coffee chat or whatever, and then move on from there. So that's been like really, really helpful and useful for me for like over 6 years now. And yeah, so let me know if you have like any extra questions. Please list them down in the comments. If you want me to go through your system or through your podcast, giving you some like solid tips, also reach out, DM me. I'm always happy to give, insights. And see you guys on my next one. Bye bye.